Guys, welcome back to another podcast on this channel, narcscon, where you're all so welcome, and any new subscribers, very, very welcome here to this community. It's a great place to be. Okay, so there's a few things that we learn on our journeys with narcissists and what we went through with them and our experience of our experience that really help us post-discard to actually go on to thrive in life. And there are a few kind of general beliefs or general themes that cut through narcissistic abuse, and understanding them gives us that leverage to move even further forward on our recovery journeys. So today I'd like to get into one of them, and this is understanding the grooming technique of the narcissist, or understanding how the narcissist infiltrates your mind in a cult-like way or a cult-like type of experience. So if you understand this, look back on your experience, and then at the end of the podcast, I'm going to give some techniques to actually overcome what the narcissist did to you. So that in some particular educational podcasts, they talk about narcissistic fleas being left with a kind of the detritus of the relationship and narcissistic fleas in your brain. So we're really going to get into this, and I really hope it's helpful. So we start off with the narcissist selling us a fantasy, selling us the dream, keying into what we want in life, who we are, and we've been down this road in many past videos and podcasts. So they're basically doing this love bomb on you, and what I would call it or liken it to is their buy-in, where they're advertising a product that they're trying to sell to you, and you're liking the product. They're giving you a free trial of a number of months, and the product is doing everything that the narcissist said it would do. In other words, you're really, really happy. They seem to be an amazing person. They seem to be everything that they said they were, and you can't believe the experience you're having, and you're very happy. So you've had your trial period, the guarantee is nearly up, and the narcissist is bringing in, well, if you purchase this product, these are the things you need to do to make the product work well, to keep it going, and for you to actually still own the product. And we all have been in that phase when the narcissist starts to call in the money, get you to buy in with the full amount and not just the deposit. And you've bought in. And now the conditions come in. The conditions of sale come in, but they're introduced slowly. And basically what they are is they've conned you into selling you happiness in a kind of a cult-like experience. It's an infiltration of your mind, in that they have sought out what you want from life and what your issues are. And they've sold you the product that's going to make all your issues go away and give you this continuous state of being in the right place with the right person at the right time and being happy. So they start then to look at issues you may have had in the past that you may have shared with them in the experience in the initial love bomb stage. And they start to actually, on a day-to-day basis, try to re-educate you into telling you why you weren't happy before, or why you had issues before. And that if you want to maintain this product and continue ownership of it, listen to them, because they've brought you happiness, they've sold you this, therefore they are superior and they know how you can solve your issues and what you need to do to keep ownership of this product. I'm sure you're with me, guys. So basically, they start a grooming process of initiating you into a cult, infiltrating your mind, and then trying to distort reality in that you take on their worldview, you agree with them over everything they say, and you become, so to speak, a follower of theirs. And if you don't follow them, and if you don't 100% agree with their worldview of reality, and this can be as much as, give you a daily example, you're giving something or you're doing a favor for a friend, and they're kind of saying to you, you're a bit of an idiot doing that. Like, this person is just using you. Why are you doing this all the time? You know, you did say before, like, that people took you for granted, or that, you know, some of them, you know, you did come across a bad relationship where the person used you. Now, listen to me and get your mind straight and stop being stupid. Stop doing stuff like this. Guys, if you've got an example of how the narcissist groomed you into changing your way of doing things and going over to the dark side, going over to their side and their way of looking at things, because this is really important for what happens to you post-discard. Leave some examples that may resonate with some other members of the community. So herein starts the process where they are going to stage 2 of the grooming of you and your reality and the way you look at the world, and basically your very fundamental character, personality, soul, spiritual identity, whatever way you want to put it. But I think it's on all levels, and that's why narcissistic abuse is a complex, intricate process, because they infiltrate on all levels, subtly, so you don't realize it's going on. So the more your boundaries fall down and the more you believe in the narcissist, the more power and control they have over you, and the more grooming is achieved of you. The next stage they take it to is the intermittent reinforcement. When they maybe go a step that's a little bit too far for you in saying, you know, in relation to what you're doing, and saying you should stop that, or maybe you should stop listening to a person who loves you dearly and you've listened to all your life, and you're just not prepared to go that extra step. What they will do then is they will bring in intermittent reinforcement in a reward punishment system. And at this stage, I would like to look at just a little aside in relation to how animals are abused. And I'm not going to go too hard on this, guys, because I find it very difficult to take myself. But it's pertinent to the mind infiltration of the narcissist on us at this stage of the grooming process, the cult-like grooming process. A person can say own a dog and not care for it, be abusive, even, I can't even say this, even, you know, hit it or whatever, hit the animal, and then they can reward it with food. And the animal is loyal to that person because they basically become dependent on the person and put up with the abuse for the reward. So it's punishment and reward. And the ground under you is moving because you never know what's going to come. And you get so into a cult-like trance of following this person, losing your own identity, becoming a shell of yourself, lessening your boundaries, losing your self-identity, that you stick around for the reward part of the grooming process. This is insidious, this is subtle, this happens over time, and please don't beat yourself up by looking back at it and saying, why didn't I realize what was going on with the narcissist? It is done slowly over time. It's a gradual process. And this is how people get involved in cults. Then the narcissist will cut you off and isolate you from people that would have other influences on you. And that's a whole new, different video. But there's a whole lot of processes that go on in this cult-like infiltration of your mind. But this is the core infiltration, and following it in steps so that you understand this for the process of healing well post-narcissistic abuse. So this intermittent reinforcement will can be a series of mini discards. The narcissist will also, can be abandonment, can be triangulation. The narcissist will often triangulate you with other people and up their value. For this purpose, they try and up their value. They don't make you too fearful that they will go, but they up their value by saying other people basically follow them, or they have a cult-like following, or they introduce you to other people that share their views on life. The triangulation process is just part of the grooming for you to see them as the savior, the knowledgeable one, the enlightened one, and wanting to stay with them because other people highly value them. Now, this may or may not be the case, but the narcissist will tell you this, and they'll pick a person who does hold them in high regard, who they've basically conned, who they present the mask to continually, and this person does not see the downside of them. They surround themselves with many people like this if they have the cognitive ability to do so. And these people are often termed in our community the flying monkeys. So the narcissist will use their followers, their friends, their family to reinforce their opinion as being the right opinion. You know, when you maybe go and ask, say, a friend of theirs or their family, what do they think the narcissist is doing this? And they say, well, I'm sure that they have your best interests at heart. And to be honest with you, you know, the couple, you know, who does this together stays together, and you'll get this intermittent reinforcement or continual reinforcement when the narcissist decides you need an extra push over the line. So basically what they want from you is to become a follower of theirs, to follow them 100%, to not object to anything. And if you object, you'll be punished. So they want your outlook to match their outlook on life. They want you to lose any identity or personality that you had before. They want you to move away from any influence, like a spiritual influence, anything that guided you to be yourself. And it's as simple as that. And you do find yourself spending enough time with the narcissist, listening to this brainwashing and a cult-like infiltration of your mind, being isolated from other people, with the reward system that they install for good behaviour, which is basically not objecting to anything they do and agreeing with everything they want you to do and serving them, handing your money over, handing your time over, handing your whatever they want from you over to them without question. Again, it's a cult-like following. You obey, 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 and then you will get rewarded, and then you will get taken for granted. And such a downward spiral you go on, to the point where they're actually abusing you and you're accepting the abuse, yet you're still pumping out the service to the narcissist because they're telling you that you need to improve your ways. You know, you didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to me. And, you know, if you listen to me and if I see an improvement in your behavior, then I may reward you again, but you have a lot of work to do. So it gets worse and worse and worse and worse for you the more you actually even comply with the narcissist. They get to the stage where you are simply a captive or a cult member of theirs that follows them without question in a kind of a zombie-like state where you have lost nearly everything, but you haven't. You haven't lost yourself. You haven't lost yourself. You're in there somewhere. Remember that. Have hope of that if you're in a long-term relationship with a narcissist. There is plenty of things you can do to reverse this. Okay, I just want to mention here, Judy, thank you very much for your continued super thanks, support. And this video was made specifically for you, and I'll get to the part now that is for you. You asked me or said in the comments that post the discard, you would look at friends of yours and they would seem narcissistic, or you could see what you didn't see before. And yes, indeed, this is so. And this ties in with the technique you can use post-discard. When you feel the narcissist has infiltrated your mind, you see things through the narcissist eyes still. That doesn't just stop. There is work to be done. The narcissist is in your head. They have put their worldview in your head. You look at people in a mistrustful way. You have, I suppose, narcissistic fleas, if you want to put it such a way, that you share the narcissist's paranoia and sense that you have to do others before they do you. That's where the narcissist's negativity comes from. Remember, the narcissistic mindset is paranoid, jealous, entitled, mistrustful. They believe that everybody's like them, which is not a good thing to be. They believe others want to do them before they do others. So you have gone over to a certain extent to the narcissist's worldview, and you've lost your trust in people. And that has been compounded because the narcissist has maybe discarded you or cheated on you or shown you a different side of themselves. And the hypnotic cult-like state that you were in has somewhat dissipated. So you're in a pretty dire state when you're discarded by the narcissist, and you're grappling to get your worldview back, trust in the world, which is very difficult after you've been very cruelly treated by a person who was purported to love you more than anybody else and who you gave your trust to. So it is a process. But what I would say is, I noticed after the discard that I did have a lot of the narcissist's worldview, but I felt myself as well. I felt that over-abiding sense of right and wrong, and that what had just happened in the discard, the cruel discard, the ghosting, the no explanation, the here 1 minute and gone the next. I remember thinking, this isn't right, something off here, let's find out what it is. And like a lot of you, I would have gone onto YouTube and read articles, etc., to understand what had happened. So that's a bit of a start for the healing process in relation to knowing that something was wrong, finding out what it was, then trusting when you understand that you were with someone who had a disordered personality, that they did have a disordered personality, and going back to what they saw, what they told you as their truths, and re-examining that and understanding what happened to you, and then re-engaging with yourself and your own beliefs and who you are, and really working on who you are and what you want out of life, setting goals for yourself, going on a healing journey, really concentrating on yourself as a project, as yourself as a priority, learning boundaries, deciding what your boundaries are, deciding what you will and will not put up with in people. So you will see, because your eyes have been opened, and this is a gift and a blessing if you choose it to be a gift and a blessing. When you're further along your journey, you will be thanking the universe or God or whoever is good in your life, that the narcissist did actually discard you. And I apologize for anyone that's triggered by this, who's still in the throes of despair and pain after a narcissist has discarded you. But I would like to give you the hope that someday you will see it like this, as a blessing, because you make it a blessing, not for what they did to you, but because of the way you handled it. So what happens is you do see the narcissistic traits in others, and we all have narcissistic traits. And some of the time, if someone is going through a very stressful situation, they can appear to be narcissistic. It doesn't mean that they have a narcissistic personality disorder. They would have to meet a number of criteria and follow a behaviour pattern, as you've learned on these channels, to qualify as that type of a person. So it's good to recognise that your friends have some narcissistic traits. The way to protect yourself against being over paranoid about that is you will hear. I mean, I remember, please don't tell me go to a psychiatrist, you're psychotic, Paula, but I do remember having the narcissist thoughts in my head when I was, say, dealing with a person or meeting someone new and saying, oh, they're that type of person or whatever, because of what the narcissist would have said. And I remember I would say to myself as a technique, narcissist be gone. Narcissist be gone. That's not my thought. That's a thought from the past. That's a thought, that's a brainwashing thought. That's an infiltration thought. And be me and trust and do whatever I need to do. So I would say there's two techniques to healing the infiltration, the cult-like infiltration that the narcissist did on you during the relationship. One is to recognize your thoughts from the narcissist thoughts. Do whatever technique works for you. Either recognize it cognitively or do my little thing for a while. You don't get them after this when you've worked on yourself. It doesn't go on forever. You become yourself again. And then the work you've done on yourself and the new boundaries you have for yourself is another protection against people in your life that might be very narcissistic. You will begin to say no. You change your behaviour and it protects you to a very large extent against getting entangled with a personality disordered person going forward. So again, thank you. And thank you, Judy, for your continued support. And there's some other people that also do that. And I really appreciate what you're doing because there is work going on in the background. The other thing I would say, having mentioned the cruelty to animals in this podcast, there is a great charity, the Humane Society International, that, does a lot of work in stopping the dog and cat meat trade, which is heinous. So if the video or the podcast was of value to you, if you would consider making a donation to them, I would really appreciate that. That's the Humane Society International. Guys, this is part 1 of a part 2 series. The next podcast to come out is going to be the experience of the grooming process, of the infiltration of somebody's mind in a religious context. And it's a long distance relationship, but it had a dreadful effect on this person who was being groomed from a distance in a religious setting. So it's an example of what I've been talking about in this initial podcast. Please take great care of yourselves, as always, and I hope this has been of value. Goodbye for now, and I will see you again shortly.